Hello everyone. I am Muhammad Kamran Halil from YouTube channel The Physics Gurus. So I am one of the group. Today I will discuss in detail the A-level physics paper 2 AS level structured question October-November 2020 variant 2-1. Now what I will do in this paper, the first thing that I will give you the detailed solution related with the paper, and then the second thing that I will discuss the common mistakes which the examiner has represented in the examiner report. So it will help you a lot, that then you will know that what are the common mistakes the students have done in the paper while they have attempted this paper. So do not repeat these mistakes when you are solving this paper. So now let's move towards the solution of this paper. So this paper is A-level physics 9702-1 October November 2020. Now question number 1. Question number 1 is the define the moment of a force about a point. So very simple definition, that it is the product of the product of force. So exact definition is required. The product of force and perpendicular distance. So do not forget to represent the perpendicular distance from the line of action, perpendicular distance from the line of action, from the line of action of the force to that point, of the force to that point. So now this is required by the examiner. So you have to write down this complete definition. Otherwise, you will not get the complete marks. Now, in the next question, determine the SI base unit of the moment. So, majority of the students have written the SI base unit as Newton meter. So, that is wrong. So, do not write down the base unit as Newton meter. So, for the moment, the formula is force into distance. So the unit for the force is Newton and the distance is meter. Now the Newton is not the SI unit. So for 1 Newton we will use the kg, ms minus 2 and then into meter. So the correct answer will be then kg m square s minus 2. So I have told you the common mistake related with this question. Now the next part. A uniform rigid rod has a length of 2.4 meter. Now the length is given and the weight is given, the density is given. Now the cross-sectional area is required. The density is given. So what we will do, we will start this formula from density. So density, that is equal to mass over volume, but the volume is always equal to the area into length in this case. So we will make the area as a subject. So area, that is equal to mass over density into length. Now we will substitute the values. Now what will happen to the mass? The mass is not given directly in this question. This is the weight which is given. So 5.2 upon 9.81. This will give you the mass. And then the density is given 790 and the length is given 2.4. So then you will get the answer 2. After calculating that, you will get the answer 2.795 into 10 power minus 4. But this is the answer is in meter square. Now here the main problem which the students have faced, that they a majority of the students do not know how to convert the millimeter square into meter square into millimeter square, because the answer is required in millimeter square. So if you will write down this answer, you will not get 1 mark. So what to do? 2.795 into 10 raised power minus 4, and when you will convert meter square into millimeter square, then you will multiply it by 10 power 6. So at the end you will get the answer 2.795 into 10 power 2 millimeter. But as you know, the answer must be written in 2SF, and by rounding off we will get answer 2.8 into 10 power 2 millimeter square. So this is a conversion which many of the students were not able to perform correctly. So to convert meter into millimeter, multiply by 10 power 3, and to convert meter square into millimeter square, you will multiply it by 10 power 6. The next part is very interesting. The statement which I am going to read, fishing rod AB made from the rod in B is shown in the diagram. Okay, the weight is given, the force of tension is given, then another force is given which is directed in the upward direction. So now in the first part, what they have asked, that all the data is given, and what I have done, I have marked the distance from the pivot, because this point is the pivot over here. So what I have done, I have marked the pivot on the diagram, and all the forces are marked with respect to the distance from the pivot. So for example, the force of tension T, its distance from the pivot, I have already added them. So that is 2.4. Then the distance of the force 4.6 is 1.8 meter, and already the weight which is acting in the downward direction is 1.20 meter. Now the first part shows that what is the component of the weight that is perpendicular to the rod. Now this is the force which is acting in this downward direction. Now this component which is along the x-axis is the value of the cos, while this one, this is the rod, this one is the rod. So now this is the perpendicular component of the weight which will act in the downward direction. So this value will be the W sine 60. So what we will do, we will place the value of the W into sine 56 degree, and the weight which is given in the question is 4. The value of the weight which is given in the question is the value of the weight 5.2. So 5.2 into sine 56, 5.2 into sine 56 degree will give you the answer 4.3. 4.3 Newton, which is required in the answer. Now the next part is interesting as well. By taking the moments about end A of the rod, calculate the tension T. Now we will move back to this diagram, and I will draw the perpendicular force over here as well. Now look at these signs, that this force T and the component of the weight, they are acting in the downward direction, while this stick is applying force in the upward direction. So now the rule is very simple, that two forces are acting in downward direction and one force is acting in upward direction. So what we will do, we will apply the formula that F1 into D1 plus the sum of the clockwise moment is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moment. So F1 D1 plus F2 into D2, that is equal to F3 into D3. Why I have taken the two forces on the left? Because the value of the force of the tension, as shown in the diagram, you can see in the diagram once again, that the value of the force of the tension T acting in the downward direction while the weight is also acting in downward direction. So these two will create the moment in anti-clockwise direction, while the force 4.6 Newton will create force in the clockwise direction. And I have mentioned the distance. So now I will substitute the values and calculate the value for the T. So the value for the T is T into 2.4. The distance of the T from the pivot is T into 2.4. Then what is the value of the weight, which we have already calculated, is 4.3, and its distance is 1.2, and the other one force is the F3, which is acting 4.6 and 1.8. So 4.6, this one is 4.6 into 1.8. So students and teachers, now what we will do, we just only rearrange that and then we will calculate the value. So by rearranging them and solving them, we will get 3.12 upon 2.4, and then the final answer will be 1.3 Newton. The unit is already given. So I hope that now you have good understanding of this question. So the main thing is in this question is that you have to identify that how many forces are acting in the one direction, mean clockwise, and how many forces are acting in the anti-clockwise direction. And the total sum of all these forces will be equal to in equilibrium. So sum of clockwise moment is equal to sum of anti-clockwise moment. Now another question. Question number 2. A small block is lifted vertically upward by a toy aircraft. So as illustrated in the diagram, as the block is moving upward, the spring breaks at time t equal to 0. The block initially continue to move in upward direction due to its inertia and then fall and hits the ground at time t equal to 0.9. So this starts moving from this aircraft start moving from the ground, then it moves in upward direction. A time will come when its spring will break, so it will keep on moving in the upper direction. The block will keep on moving in the upper direction, and then it will become at rest and start moving in the downward direction. The variation of the velocity is shown in the diagram. So from the graph we can see that the object velocity will become 0 at a point. Now the first thing, air resistance is negligible. This is a very main key point related with this question. Air resistance is negligible, so it means that the acceleration of the graph will not change. So then the first part, state the feature of the graph which will show that how the block has a constant acceleration. You can see from this graph that the slope or the gradient of the graph is constant. So you have to write down very clearly that gradient is constant. Gradient is constant. So if you will not write down the term constant, you will not get the marks. So you have to write down the constant. Then in the next part, use figure 2.2 to determine the height of the block above the ground when the spring breaks at time t equal to 0. Majority of the students were not able to find the answer correctly. Now what was the situation? The block was initially on the ground at this point. Now when it has traveled a distance, this one, then at this point, let's suppose at point A, the rope breaks down, and then at that point it will stop and then start moving in downward direction. So this is the point B, this is point C. Now what is required? This is required that how much height it will cover during this portion, that from O up to A. So you can see that this can be done by finding the displacement. First we will find the distance A and B, then we will find the distance B up to C, that is in the downward direction, and after that what we will do, we will subtract both of the displacement, because we are required the displacement. And how can we calculate the displacement? Displacement can be calculated by subtracting the two distances, because we need OA. The OA distance can be calculated by BC distance and minus AB distance. Now move towards the graph. In the graph, there are two regions given. Now one of them is this one. When the block is moving in upper direction, then it will stop. So I will label this according to the values which I have used. So this point is A, this point is B, this point is C. So how can we find the distance of AB? 1.96 and 0.2. So first of all, I will find the value of the A and B. AB, that is equal to 1 by 2, and the value are the 0.2, and the other value is 1.96. So I will get answer 0.196 meter, and the other value is the B up to C, that value is 1 by 2. Then the other thing is the distance and the time. The time is 0.7, and the other value is given 6.86. So what we will get, 2.401 meter. Now we will subtract them. I have used these values from this particular graph. So you can see that 6.86 at point C and 0.9 and 0.2 will give you the 0.7 for this one, and for this triangle the value is given 6.86. So I have used these values and calculate the two different distances. So the one of them was moving upward direction, the other one is moving in the downward direction. Now the work is very easy. So what we will do, so 2.401 minus 0.196, and then finally we will get answer in two significant figure is 2.2 meter. So this is the answer of this question. I hope that you have good understanding of this, that actually what has happened in this diagram. So divide and rule, always go through for this. The block has a weight of 0.86. Calculate the difference in the gravitational potential energy of the block between time t equal to 0 and time t that is equal to 0.90. Now the formula for the gravitational potential energy is the difference in the gravitational potential energy that depend on the difference of the height, which we have already calculated in the part B. So GPE will be equal to mgh, and while the value of the mg is already given 0.86 and height we have calculated is 2.2, so the GPE will be 1.892, and after rounding off the final answer which we will get is the 1.9 joules. So that is the answer which we have to write down in the 2SF. The next part is related with the sketching of the graph. On figure 2.3, sketch the line to show the variation of the distance moved by the block t equal to 0 up to t equal to 0.2. Now we will move back to the graph. You can see that what is happening at time this, the velocity will become 0. The first thing which we will know from this graph. And when it will move in upward direction, the distance from B will start, the distance is increasing, and the speed will start decreasing. So this is the graph related with the distance and time. So then what will happen? The graph will be having a shape like this. So the decreasing gradient, and I will draw it much better. uh, the graph now the gradient is decreasing. So that is the answer of this question. So decreasing gradient means that at time at t equal to 0.2 the speed of the moving block will be 0. uh, Now this is the repeated question so many times in the past paper that this part has been asked so many times in the past paper. uh, the block of the greater mass is now released. Now there is a very good key point which is given in order to help you to write down the answer, and this is the repeated question that the air resistance is negligible. Always remember, whenever the air resistance is negligible, then acceleration of free fall, the acceleration of free fall will not change, will not change. So it means that standard explain if there is any effect of increase the mass on the speed. So no change, no effect on the no effect on the speed of the block. If on no effect on the speed of block if we will change its mass, because whenever the air resistance will be present it means that there will be a resistive force which will act on the block. Question number 3, define force. Majority of the students have written that force is the product of the mass and acceleration. So this is absolutely wrong. You will get nothing for writing this answer. So the correct answer for this question is that the force is defined as the rate of change of momentum. The rate of change of momentum. The rate of change of momentum is called as the force. So this is the answer of this question. If you write down the product of the force is equal to the product of the mass and acceleration, you will not get the credit for that answer. So force is the rate of change of momentum. Now, in this question, they have shown that the ball has a mass. Where is the mass? Oh, here we get. Here we go. The mass is 0.062 and he is saying that calculate the loss of the kinetic energy during the collision. Now you can see from the diagram that the speed is in downward direction while in this case the speed is in upward direction. So whenever the object will move in opposite direction after striking, after collision, the relative velocity will always add up. Always remember this thing that when the two objects are moving in same direction, the relative velocity will be calculated by subtracting them, and if the objects are moving in opposite direction then the relative velocity can be calculated by adding them. Now what we are required to calculate the loss of the kinetic energy. So what we will do, so loss of kinetic energy that is equal to 1 by 2. The mass is common. What is the value of the mass? 0.062. And the other thing is now here is the mistake that which the students will do. What is the value are given? 3.8 square minus 1.7 square. Normally students will not write down the square, so that's why they will not get the correct answer. So after solving this you will get answer 0.36 joules. The joule is already written. So the common mistake over here that they will not take the square and then they will not get the credit as well. Okay, determine the magnitude of the change in momentum of the ball during the collision. Now here we will use the relative speed. So change in momentum is delta P, that is equal to final momentum minus initial momentum or mass into delta V. So what is the value of the mass given? for that particular question, the mass is given 0.062. And I have earlier mentioned that the balls are traveling in opposite direction before collision and after collision. So we will add up their velocities. So 3.8 plus 1.7. So here is 3.8 plus 1.7, and when you will solve all this, you will get 0.34 Newton second. Now the next part is very easy. It contains 1 mark. He is saying that what is the resultant force acting on the ball during the collision is 4.2 Newton. We have to show this, that the force acting on the object is 4.2 Newton. So the force is defined as the rate of change of momentum. So the momentum is already we have calculated, and what is the time given? So time is given in this question is 0.081. So time is given over here 0.081. So what we will do, 0.081, 0.081, and then we will get the answer 4.2 Newton, which is required. Use the information in tree to calculate the magnitude of the average force. Okay, now majority of the students have done mistake in this. As you can see that the ball is having its weight as well, and the other force which they have told is the value of the force, which is I think 4.2 Newton. Yep, that was the 4.2 Newton. Now the weight of the ball is also acting on it. So what is the weight of the ball? Where is the weight of the ball? The weight of the ball is not given, but its mass is given 0.062. So what is the total force acting on the floor of the floor on the ball? So what we will do, we will find the total force. So first thing, the force is equal to the weight plus 4.2, and the value of the mass of the object is given 0.062 into 9.81, and when we will add it into 4.2, the answer we will get is 4.8 Newton. So this is the force of the floor on the ball, and according to the Newton's third law of the motion, every action has a reaction, same in magnitude but opposite in direction. So it will have the same answer, 4.8 Newton. So I hope that excuse me. So I hope that you have now good understanding of this question. So now we will move towards the next question. The question is that define for a while the stress. So the common mistake which I will tell you that which he has represented in the examiner report as one. The force acting per unit area. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. Once again, I am telling to you that if you will write down that the force acting per unit area, you will not get credit. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is force acting per unit cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area. So if you will write down only the force acting per unit area, you will not get the credit. Similarly for the strain, the correct definition, the ratio of extension to the original length, So if you will not use the term the original, if you write down only the ratio of the extension to the length, that is called as the strain, then I am afraid you will not get the marks. You can check the examiner report as well. So in examiner report, he has clearly mentioned that if you want to get the credit of the strain, then you have to write down the original length as well. Okay, school experiment performed on a metal wire determine the Young's modulus. Okay, the Young's modulus, the graph is given between f and x. So force and extension, the graph is given between the force and the extension. The gradient is represented by the g. So what we can do, so from here f over x, that is equal to the gradient, because we have to use this in the later part. The length is L. Okay, determine the expression in terms of A, G and L for the Young's modulus. So that is a very easy question. Young's modulus is the stress over strain. Stress over strain. Stress is the force acting per unit area, and strain is change in length over original length. So L naught over E. But in this case, the value of the extension is represented by x and the length is represented by L. So what I will do, I will reform it according to the given values and A into x. Now the f over x, already we have mentioned that f over x is the gradient. So gradient into L over A. So that is the answer of this question. So that is the reason I have calculated or mentioned the gradient earlier in the previous part on the diagram, that f over x or force over extension is equal to the gradient, because we have to use these symbols according to the requirement. A student repeats an experiment in B1 using a wire that has twice the diameter of the first wire. Now, this is the point which I have to explain. The initial length of the wire and the metal wire are now the length and the initial length of the wire and the metal of the wire are unchanged. So the length is not going to change. Only there is change in the diameter. On the figure, draw the graph line represented for the new wire. Now move back to the graph and use these conditions. Now you know that the area is equal to pi d square by 4. Now let's suppose for the old wire, I will take the value of the d as 1. Let's suppose d is equal to 1. So area that is equal to pi by 4, that is equal to 0.25 pi. Now this is the area of the previous wire. Now when I will half the diameter, pi 2d by 2 whole square, then I will get pi d square. Now again I will take the value of the d as 1. So now what I will get the area? Area that is equal to meter square unit. We will write down. So area that is equal to pi meter square. It means that by doubling the diameter, the area will become increased 4 times. Because if we will compare the area of the previous wire, which was 0.25, and if I will multiply it by the 4, then I will get the area of the new wire. The first thing is this. So it means that by increasing the diameter, by doubling the diameter, the area will increase by 4 times. Now move back to the expression. So in this expression, we can see that the E that equal to F into L over A into X. Now area and extension, they are inversely proportional to each other. When two vectors are multiplied with each other, then it means that they are inversely proportional to each other. So if the area will increase by 4 times, then extension will decrease by 4 times. So the new wire has area as compared to the previous one is the 4 times. So what we will do, so we will count these boxes are 16 and 1 2 3 4. So 16 divided by 4, the extension will decrease by 4 times because area has increased by 4 times. So what we will do now, we will draw a straight line starting from the origin, and I will try my level best and reach up to this point. So draw a straight line starting from this uh, 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 and then start from the origin. Okay, make it straight line on your graph tab. So when you will draw that on the your past paper in the hard form, then draw this a straight line. So this line will start from the origin and the extension will be 4 boxes. Uh, the next part is related with this is the another student repeat the experiment in B1 increasing force beyond F1 to a new maximum force F2. The new graph is obtained in the diagram. So what is the work done? So work done because we are moving it from F1 to the F2. So this is all the region is the work done. So we have to shade all this area between two dotted line. That will represent the work done by the object moving from F1 till F2. The next part explain how the student can check that the elastic limit of the wire does not exceed when the force F2 was applied. Now here, the mistake. The student have done the mistake in the part that what they have written that the wire is a curve. This is a wrong answer. So how can student will check that he will seize the force, he will seize the force, seize the force, and if spring will return to its if spring will return to its original size, original to its original position, then it means that it has not crossed its elastic limit. So without applying the force, the length of the spring should be the same. So that is the answer of this question. Each student in the class performed the experiment in B2. In B1, the teacher describes the value of the Young's modulus calculated by a high accuracy. High accuracy means that the answer is close to the original value. And low precision. Now, I will draw this diagram. If this is the point that is represented by the accurate answer. So these values are close to the accurate answer, but they are all scattered. So it will show that they have a large range of the value. Low precision means that the values calculated, the values calculated have a large range of values, a large range of answers. Okay, dear. Question number 5, the most easiest question so far in this paper. A progressive wave y passes a point P. The variation with the time t of the displacement for the wave at P is shown in the diagram. Determine the speed. Now, formula for the speed is v that is equal to f lambda, or you can use v that is equal to lambda by t, because the value of the lambda is given as well 8 centimeters, so it will 0.08, and the time is given for one complete wave is 0.4. So the most easiest question, 0.4, and then you will get the answer 0.2 meter per second. A second wave Z has a wavelength 8 centimeter and amplitude of 2 millimeter. Now we already know that the intensity is directly proportional to amplitude square. The wave Z have the amplitude of the 2, so 2 square divided by the y as the, okay, 4. The wave y has the amplitude of the 4. So 4 square, 2 square by 4, 4 over 16, 4 over 16, 1 by 4 mean 0.25 is the answer of this question. So that is the most easiest question so far in this whole paper, and that contains 5 marks. Describe the condition for the two waves to be able to form a stationary wave. So a lot of mistakes students have done in this question. The first thing that they have not mentioned the same type, the waves of same type. So I will write down the condition and you can write down on your papers as well. The waves of same type, it is required by the examiner. The waves of same type move in opposite direction, move in opposite direction and overlap. This is the first condition which you have to write down, and overlap. So if you will not write down the same type, you will not get the credit for this answer. Number 2, the waves have same speed. The waves have same speed and same frequency or wavelength, and same frequency or wavelength. So these are the two key points which are required for the formation of a stationary wave. A stationary wave on a string has the nodes and the antinodes. So now I will draw a wave. So now these points are the nodes where the amplitude is 0. So these are the nodes N, while these points are AN, antinode. So now what is meant by node? The point on the wave where the amplitude is 0. Again, the wrong answer written by many candidates, that they have used the term zero displacement, which is wrong. And the wavelength. Now, in this question, it is given that the node and adjacent antinode. Now, this is the node and this is the adjacent antinode. Now he is saying that they have the distance of 0.6. So what is the wavelength? So wavelength is required. So that is the 1/4 of the wave. So wavelength is the 4 times of the distance between node and antinode. So the answer will be, multiplying it, we will get the 2.4 centimeter. State the phase difference between the particles at two adjacent antinodes of the stationary wave. Now this is the antinode and this one is the antinode for this consecutive wave. So this point is in the positive and this point is in the negative. It means that they are opposite to each other. So what is the phase difference between them? Is 180 degrees. So the phase difference between the particle on the two adjacent antinode is always equal to 180 degree. Now the next question, question number 7. Second last question, define ohm. So he has not asked define the Ohm's law. He is saying ohm. R equal to V upon I. So the unit of the voltage will be the volt, and for the current is the ampere. So this is the definition of the ohm. This one, that the ratio of the voltage to the ampere is called as the ohm. This question is also easy related with the part A and part B. The rest of the part is also easy but not so much difficult. So the resistance is given, the length is given, resistivity is given, all SI units are given, cross sectional area is required. Formula R equal to rho L over A. So A that is equal to rho L over R. So substitute the values, 460 into 2.5 upon the value of R is 3.2, and at the end you will get the answer in 2SF is 3.6 into 10 power minus 7. The next part, C. A cell of electromotive force and internal resistances. Now they have given the internal resistance, so we will not ignore it. Now state in terms of energy why the potential difference across the resistor is less than the EMF of the cell. So terminal potential difference, that is called as the terminal PD. So terminal PD is always less than the value of the terminal PD is always less than the value PD is always less than the value of the EMF, less than EMF. The reason, because due to the presence of this internal resistance, the energy will dissipate in cell due to internal resistance. The energy, he is talking about the energy. So energy will dissipate, the energy will dissipate inside the cell due to okay, the energy will dissipate due to internal resistance of the cell, due to, make it visible, due to internal resistance of cell. Now as you can see the diagram that this is a series combination. So the total EMF will be divided into two parts. The current will remain same. So we will write down the formula. E that is equal to R into I plus E that is equal to, because there are two resistances which are attached. So the formula will be I into R plus R. Now we will use this formula in the next part as well when we are required to calculate the value of the power. Now in this question he is saying that when the resistor R of the variable resistor is equal to the small r, to the internal resistance, so drive the expression for the power dissipation. This expression is also given in the book as well. So P that is equal to I square R. Now we will calculate the value of I from this expression. So make this expression over here. So E equal to I into R plus R. So make I as subject, that is equal to E over R plus R. Now substitute R equal to R. So E over R plus R, that is equal to E over 2R. Now this is the value of the current. So I will substitute this value over here. Power that is equal to E over 2R whole square into R. So E over 4R square into R, and this R will be, so finally the power will be E upon 4R. So I hope that you have uh, understanding of all these steps, and it will make your work very easy. Now the last question. State a similarity between the difference between the down quark and the down anti-quark. There are so many similarities. Number one, they have same mass. Number two, which you can write down, they have same or equal magnitude of charge. Same magnitude of charge. Magnitude of charge. So you can write down this as well, and you can write down that they are the both are fundamental particles. Both are fundamental particles. So these are the similarities which you can write, and the difference that they have opposite sign of charge. Or you can write down that one of them is a matter and other is antimatter. One is matter and the other one is antimatter. Other is antimatter. So these are the similarity and the differences between the up down quarks and the down anti-quarks. Now this question is very easy. So number of protons are 13 and the number of neutrons 25 minus 13 gives you 12. Now show that the charge is 2.1 into 10 to the power minus 18. So charge, there are 13 protons. So unified charge is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So when you will multiply all this, you will get 2.1 into 10 power minus 18. The C part, the last part related with this, he has connected this with the electric field. So now he is saying that the nucleus B is moved along a straight line from point A to point B in uniform horizontal electric field of the, okay, the electric field strength is given. E, the value of E is given. How much work is done? So what we will do, we will write down the formula. Work done, that is equal to force into distance. Now the force is not given directly, so we know that E equal to F by Q, and F that is equal to E into Q. Q already we have calculated in the upper part. So W that is equal to E into Q into S. The value of E is given 11 kV, 11,000, multiplied by the value of charge which is given is 2.1 10 power minus 18. 2.1 into 10 power minus 18. Now the distance, always remember that the distance always traveled parallel in the direction of the electric field. So the distance is 4 centimeter, so it will become 0.04, and then the final answer you will get for the last question of this paper is 9.2 into 10 raised power minus 16. I hope that you have enjoyed a lot, and if you are having any confusion or question related with this paper, you can ask from me. And now I am going to solve some other papers, and we'll keep on posting other papers related with the P2 as well, P4 as well, P1 as well, P5. So stay tuned. Do not forget to memorize the press the bell icon and then subscribe my channel. Take care. Bye bye.